cette nouvelle vidéo curieux de savoir un peu spéciale en pleine pandémie du Covid-19 aux États-Unis. On s'est dit qu'on allait un petit peu renifler du cannabis. Ici aux États-Unis, dans certains États, le cannabis est autorisé à des fins médicales, dans certains États, il est autorisé à des fins de récréation. Aujourd'hui, j'ai rendez-vous avec Dan. Alors Dan, c'est un ancien rabbin. C'est un ancien rabbin qui tient ce dispensaire de cannabis. Et puis on a rendez-vous avec lui. Et j'espère qu'on va en apprendre un petit peu plus sur les gens qui utilisent le cannabis, sur la régulation dans le Maryland, sur les effets du cannabis et son avis un petit peu sur l'impact de la légalisation du cannabis ici dans le Maryland. C'est parti! Pouvez-vous nous dire quelles sont les différences de loi et de régulation à propos du cannabis dans le Maryland comparativement aux autres États des États-Unis?
Well, it depends upon the state. Presently, there are 39 states that have at least decriminalized marijuana and made it legal for medical purposes. Mm-hmm. Probably about 7 or 8 that are now recreational also. So Maryland is somewhere right in the middle because we have medical cannabis, and they've also decriminalized it so that now if someone, even if you're not in the medical program and you're caught with a certain amount of marijuana, usually a little bit less than an ounce, which is so that you're not distributing. It's really just a parking ticket at this point. So we're right in the middle, I would say.
Donc vous avez parlé de marijuana médicale. Pourquoi la marijuana médicale n'est pas vendue dans des pharmacies? Et pourquoi est-ce qu'elle est vendue dans des endroits comme celui-ci?
Well, I think a lot of it has to do with access. So we have a lot, just as when you were coming in, we had to see your ID, and we had to take pictures, and we recorded everything. So we're extremely controlled by the Maryland state government, and most pharmacies are not.
Okay.
The medicine is, but getting into pharmacy is easy.
And Je crois que vous pouvez rentrer dans un magasin d'alcool si vous avez en dessous de 21 ans. Mais vous n'êtes pas autorisé à acheter quelque chose. Donc pour vous, il y a un autre niveau de contrôle en fait. Level of control. So, okay. And donc quel genre de produit est-ce que vous vendez dans ce genre de dispensaire?
So we sell everything that's legal in the state of Maryland. Flour, which is just either the raw bud or in pre-rolls, already rolled joints. We sell edibles, so like little, have to use the correct terminology, things that you get oral administration by the mouth. Okay. Capsules, we have a syringe.
I'm sorry, like extracts of CBD
or THC.
THC, okay, both.
Both.
Oh, okay,
yes.
Okay.
And sometimes in the same capsule you'll have both. Let's see, what else do we have? We have vape cartridges. We have, I said, pre-roll tinctures too. So little drops.
Pour quel type de maladie et de maux le cannabis est-il utilisé? Avec la question connexe, est-ce que le cannabis est utilisé pour soulager les maux ou bien guérir les maladies? Is this kind of disease or conditions?
Well, that's a great question because it runs the gamut. I would say most of the time cannabis is used to treat the symptoms. That people have sort of intractable issues. For instance, in my case, I have a very high anxiety issues, especially now with the pandemic. And it helps me sleep at night. It helps me from using cannabis has helped me from, besides sleeping, the pain that it causes, the anxiety, it lowers that whole threshold of anxiety. So I'm able to function. I used to be on pharmaceuticals, and now I'm off them completely because I find that with cannabis I have many fewer side effects.
Side effects, okay. Yes. So, ah oui, ça c'était aussi une autre de mes questions. On peut peut-être en parler dès maintenant. Les gens là-bas qui travaillent juste derrière, quel genre d'études ou de diplômes ils ont pour vendre du cannabis?
No, we're not quite that sophisticated yet. University of Maryland has been the first university to start a master's program in cannabis. So within the next, I would guess, 5 years or so, we're going to be much more sophisticated than people with degrees. However, we have people come in here to work with a lot of knowledge already, and then we train them also.
Okay.
So we teach them all, well, I wouldn't say all there is to know. We teach them a lot of what they need to know. You know, which a lot of people come in here for pain issues, so you know, we teach them which terpenes are best to help with pain, that type of thing.
Ok, alors ça c'était ma prochaine question. Est-ce qu'une prescription est obligatoire pour obtenir les produits chez vous?
Dispensary.
You need to get the okay from a physician or a podiatrist. It could be a podiatrist, a physician, a dentist, to purchase here.
Okay.
But very few medical professionals are actually as proficient in their knowledge of cannabis. So they leave it up to us and to sit down with each patient,
Okay.
figure out what their needs are, and then we work from there.
When the
Est-ce que quand vos clients arrivent avec leur prescription, est-ce qu'il est écrit sur ces prescriptions, est-ce qu'il est indiqué la dose de cannabis dont ils ont besoin, les quantités de CBD ou de THC?
of THC, CBD they have to use or not?
Well, once again, it depends. There are some physicians who really know their stuff and will bring, the patient will come in here with a prescription of exactly what the physician wants. Then there are other physicians who, let's say, aren't as proficient, and so we'll tell the patient, this is kind of the general idea of what you want, and then they come to us and we sit down and talk to them first, and then we'll come up with them. We'll come up with.
Okay, so you give the best advice depending on the.
I hope so.
pain.
I'd like to think so. Yes.
Okay.
La FDA est l'agence gouvernementale qui régule les médicaments aux États-Unis. Est-ce que vos produits sont approuvés par la FDA?
Product approved by FDA? No.
No, because according to the federal government, marijuana, cannabis is a Schedule 1 drug. Schedule 1 drugs are things like heroin, cocaine, opiates, that type of thing. So as far as the federal government is concerned, everything we're doing here is illegal. But the state has decided that marijuana should not be a Schedule 1 drug. So we're working under the state as opposed to the federal.
So you are in the middle, on the middle of the two layers between state and the federal government.
Correct.
Okay.
I mean, honestly, the federal government could work. The federal marshals could come in here tomorrow and shut us down, but they don't. They don't because they don't want to get involved with the state.
It's totally.
Ah ok, c'est toléré, ça je ne savais pas. Mon autre question était de savoir, est-ce que le cannabis est remboursé par les assurances santé?
Not at the moment, no.
No.
Because of the federal government. Most insurance companies are national in scope.
And this is
And
why.
as soon as you start crossing borders, state borders, the federal government takes over and we go by their rules.
Oh, okay.
So that's why everything we sell here has to have been produced in the state of Maryland.
Ah, ça c'était une autre question que j'avais oubliée. Donc quand on dit que c'est régulé par l'État, est-ce que ça veut dire que le cannabis est produit dans l'État? Et dans d'autres États, est-ce que la production ne vient pas de ces États? Je ne connais pas les lois dans l'État de Washington et du Colorado. Est-ce que les lois sont différentes suivant les États?
It's different depending on the state.
It is different depending upon the state. Most states, even the rec states, the recreational use states, stay within their borders in order to sell because it's just so much easier than having to deal with the federal government. Once you cross that border, then the federal government can get involved.
Oh, okay.
I don't know that they would, but they could.
Yeah. Oh, okay. So.
Pouvez-vous me décrire vos clients typiques? Est-ce que ces clients utilisaient auparavant le cannabis à des fins récréationnelles?
Way before.
I would say our customers here run the gamut from people who are just over 21 to people who are in their, we certainly have people in their 80s who come in. I think we skew older because this area has more older people than younger people.
Yeah.
So I think we probably get more like 50s, 60s, 70-year-olds. Prior, I would say about half of the people probably were buying before it became legal for medical purposes, were buying on the black market, and the other half just were not using.
In your point of view.
À votre avis, est-ce que la régulation a réduit les trafics et le marché au noir?
I'll be honest and say I have not seen any statistics. I would probably think that yes, it probably has lowered the black market because, I mean, there's already been about 105 to 10,000 people registered with the state. And if half of those we're using on the black market, that's 50, 60,000 people are now no longer buying on the black market. So I think that there's probably been a
Le
reduction.
cannabis est très utilisé dans les problèmes liés aux douleurs. Est-ce que vous pensez que le cannabis peut être une solution face à l'épidémie d'opioïdes aux États-Unis?
We have seen an incredible number of people. Again, it's all anecdotal evidence because we're not allowed to do research into cannabis because of the federal government. But there's been a lot of anecdotal information of people who used to be relying on opiates who are no longer, who have started using cannabis, have slowly weaned themselves off of opiates, and now are just using cannabis for that same pain.
Donc vous n'êtes pas autorisé à faire des statistiques et des études à propos de ça.
Sadly, yeah, very sadly, yeah.
We really need to be able to do that in
Yeah.
order to really see the efficacy of
Yeah.
cannabis.
So now,
Oui, donc maintenant vous êtes, je ne peux pas le prouver, j'y crois, mais je ne peux pas, j'ai pas d'outils pour le prouver.
Yeah, and I'm just like you. I'm a firm believer in science. I am actually a rabbi by training, but I'm a firm believer in science, and you need to have these hard statistics. And then on the other hand, we're not allowed to do these hard statistics.
Wow.
So like, well, we can't ever prove anything unless
Yeah.
we're, we're sort of unshackled.
Ah oui, c'est effectivement assez frustrant. Bon, c'est super, je crois qu'on a parlé d'à peu près tout ce dont je voulais, c'est vraiment génial. Vous avez quelque chose d'autre? J'ai peut-être oublié quelque chose qui est très important en fait. Est-ce qu'il y a quelque chose d'important que vous voudriez dire en fait?
something very important to say about this.
Well, I would say that there is one of the reasons why the name Liberty was chosen is because there's such a stigma on the use of cannabis. There's a lot of people who who may not even understand or know, and if they thought their friends were using cannabis, they would look down upon them. And so one of the reasons we're here is we're trying to liberate the cannabis experience. We're trying to get that stigma to go away. And treating it, one of the reasons why we are as professional as we try to be here is so to show people that, we're not on a street corner selling drugs. This is serious medicine that needs to be taken seriously.
Est-ce que vous pensez que des personnes font semblant et profitent de la situation en faisant passer leur soi-disant insomnie ou douleur juste pour consommer du cannabis, comme moi finalement je consommerais de l'alcool?
Sure.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And I think more people, it's actually much better for you to smoke cannabis or to use cannabis than to drink alcohol because there's many fewer side effects. And it would be nice at some point, in my lifetime, I've seen a huge difference from when I was a kid to now in terms of the legality of cannabis, the fact that during this pandemic, we were considered essential workers. So we stayed open and we've been working throughout this whole thing, which is a wonderful, wonderful decision that was made by our governor. And cannabis can be used in ways that are very simple on a daily basis. You don't necessarily have to get high when you use it. You're medicating. Just like when someone has a drink because they have had a hard day, they want to unwind. So people will have a drink. Well, if you use cannabis too, you may save your liver in the process as well.
Okay.
Mais j'ai lu quelques articles à propos des jeunes. Le cannabis, c'est quand même très toxique pour le cerveau des jeunes.
Marijuana, yeah.
Yeah, for young people.
For young people,
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I would not, unless we have seen, like in certain very young people, who, especially those with epilepsy or other type of seizure disorders, the use of marijuana has actually been able to lessen it to almost non-existence. And even though, yes, it can hurt their brains, aren't the seizures hurting their brains as well? So it's sort of like, okay, which one would you prefer?
Yeah.
But in general, I would not ever have someone younger than, say, 21 using marijuana. It's just not, there's just too much out there that says it's not good for them.
Okay.
J'ai eu une très mauvaise expérience avec la marijuana quand j'étais jeune. J'ai mangé du space cake et j'étais complètement stone. Et je crois que je recommencerai, mais plus jamais.
Yeah, I'm sorry that the first time you tried it, it was edibles, because quite frankly, those are the hardest to regulate for yourself, because of the absorption rate, because of all different possibilities. It can make you incredibly high for an incredibly long period of time.
Yeah.
Which is why I would never start someone off on an edible. There's lots of other ways to start that are much gentler. And one of our sayings here is start low and go slow.
Yeah.
It's much better off starting at a very low level, so you might not even feel it the first few times, and then increase very, very slowly.
Okay.
Merci beaucoup pour le temps que vous nous avez accordé. J'ai vraiment beaucoup apprécié. On vous enverra les liens de la vidéo et des articles sur Internet. Je suis désolé, ce sera en français. Et voilà, notre interview avec Dan, le rabbin qui est devenu revendeur de marijuana, est terminée. J'espère que cette interview vous a plu. Moi, j'ai appris plein de choses. Bien entendu, je voulais pas faire une vidéo qui durait 3 heures, donc il y a des choses qui sont peut-être pas forcément complètes. Je vous invite donc à aller visiter le site curieudsavoir.com, sur lequel il y a un article très détaillé. Donc je remercie encore Dan pour son temps, et moi je vous dis à bientôt. Take care, guys.